Alright guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. This week we got the 3M Open played at TPC Twin Cities. It's going to be the first time this event has been held here and the first time the event has been played at this course as well. So it's a new event, new course, should have some pretty good fun with it. Alright, so in today's video we will go over last week's recap, the course overview, the player pool, and then the core plays. But first I want to touch on these 3 points here. So last week's key stats, those were pretty spot on. I'm just kind of bringing that up because last week was a new event and we kind of just need to make sure that we're touching on the right key stats, and we definitely were last week. That's something that we'll do with this event since there's a new one at a new course, and we'll do that. We won't do that next week because it's the John Deere Classic. That one's a staple in the PGA Tour, but we'll have to do that again this week. I do want to touch on Nate Lashley. So it's kind of unfortunate. I saw Wednesday night that it was actually going to be in the player pool. I, put him into the my build, my model, and I kind of put him in the price point I thought he'd be at, like 6.6K, and we couldn't play him because he wasn't on DraftKings, he wasn't on FanDuel. So my question to you guys is, was that the right move by DraftKings and FanDuel? Because someone like me catches that, but the general public wouldn't, and so it's kind of an edge that's not fair to the general public. I just want to know your guys' thoughts on that. Is that something that DraftKings should do to allow to put in a player like that, where maybe 0.5% of players see him, or is that just something that they shouldn't do? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that. And then I do want to touch on the studs that are playing in these events in between majors. So this is kind of something we noticed last month leading up to the US Open. It seemed like a lot of these studs were missing the cuts a lot more. I'm not really sure what the mentality is of these players. Maybe they're not in as much, or maybe they're just trying to work on a certain specific thing in their game to get ready for the upcoming major. I'm not sure what it is, but it does seem like they're not as focused. They're not making the cuts as much as they normally typically do. They're not playing like how we would expect them to play. That's just kind of, a caution note going forward. That might be just a trend that we see with this new schedule of the PGA Tour. Just might be something that we have to look out for in the upcoming future. So just kind of a side note there. Just 3 things that I kind of noticed that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention. All right, let's get into last week's recap. So I touched on it. I did want to play Nate Lashley, and this lineup here on the right-hand side, that was the specific build that I wanted to get him into. I had a little bit too much Sam Ryder ownership, and there I was just trying to get off of him. So when Nate Lashley was announced that he was playing, I'm like, hey, let's see what we can do here. And this was the lineup that I went to go change him and put him in for. Obviously, I couldn't do that because he actually wasn't in the DraftKings player pool, which is pretty unfortunate. That lineup there would have finished as a top 10 last week, so kind of unfortunate. It's kind of a bad beat, but kind of not really, because he wasn't in the player pool. No one else could benefit from it. Just kind of one of those things. But the cash lineup did cash again. Really just another solid week. $5 a month to get that information is probably the best steal in DFS across the industry. I don't know how many people can say that they only charge $5 a month and the people that are following it are winning at almost 80% clip. So it's kind of one of those things. The player pool is right there. We did make a slight Wednesday night change. We put Sanjay in the cash build over Victor Hovland. They're both medium exposure plays for me then. I just like Sanjay M stats, and it just ended up being the right play there. Overall, as you guys can see, the core plays did well, the high tier or the high exposure plays did well. Medium exposure plays were all right, but overall, really not a bad week. 4 straight weeks of cashing and profiting, which is what we like to see. Let's get into the course overview for this upcoming week. All right, so we do have the 3M Open. It's going to be the first time that this event has been played here. Now, they have had some PGA Tour champion events here. They've been pretty low scoring as well. So this is going to be a scoring course. They are trying to make it a little bit longer because the fairways are pretty big. They're about 40 to 50 yards wide, sometimes 60 yards wide. So they're going to probably try to narrow the fairways a little bit, but I still think it's going to be a bomber's paradise here. So we're going to be looking at strokes gained total, strokes gained off the green, strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained approach, strokes gained putting. We're just going to be looking at strokes gained a lot. We're also going to be looking at birdie or better percentage. We do like that as a stat. We're also going to be looking at total driving and ball striking like we typically do. These are the course fits that we're able to come up with. Obviously, the high tier guys are going to be good course fits, but those are just going to be phenomenal plays for you. And then there are some players that kind of surprised me that were coming into some good recent form. Obviously, Rory Sabatini, we already kind of knew that. We've been playing him quite a bit recently. But Mackenzie Hughes was not a popular option, but he was a interesting name that popped out to me for a guy that's in some really good form. We'll touch on him a little bit later on. I do like Joaquin Niemann again. He is in some good recent form as well. All right, that's all we have for the course overview. Let's get into the player pool. All right, so the player pool on the high-end side, you guys can play them if you want to. I already kind of gave you the cautionary tale with them. We don't know their mentality going into this. But Brooks Koepka, this course seems like it sets up for that U.S. Open that he won a few years back, so I think he's going to be a great play. He's one of the better staff hits in the field, obviously. Hideki Matsuyama continues to play well, 24 straight make cuts. I think if you can afford to pay up for him, you should. He's worst stat is 121 in strokes gained putting. Other than that, every other stat is top 26 or better. So just a great option. Jason Day, not going to be a bad play as well. A play that I think that I like the most is going to be Bryson DeChambeau. I did bring in some comp courses as a reference point, and he did finish T20 and T10 in 2 out of the 3. The third one he didn't play in recently, but he is 5th in par 5 scoring, which is going to be a stat we're looking at. 4th in total driving. He is T5 in birdie or better percentage, so all stats that we like to see. He's pretty much top 30 in all the other stats. Rory Sabatini, I just love the recent form for him. Now, we have been playing him quite a bit. This is a week where I don't know if we can play him as much because of that price point, but he's still not priced up too much where we can't play him. Joaquin Niemann, once again, I don't know if I can play him on DraftKings given his price point. I'll probably still have around 10% ownership to him, but where you want to play him is going to be on Yahoo. So Yahoo is going to be the place to play Joaquin Niemann. Sanjay M, once again, just a great stat fit. He is a top 10 stat fit in the field. Top 25 in birdie or better percentage. Total driving, ball striking, strokes gained total. He's also top 10 in par 5 scoring. So really just a great stat fit. Also in some really good recent form. Kevin Streelman's going to be a play that we do like as well. The only negative with him is he's not the best par 5 scorer, but other than that, he's top 35 in total driving, ball striking, strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained putting. He's 97th in birdie or better. We don't really like that. Keegan Bradley, we know it. We know the story with Keegan Bradley. He's a great total driver, great ball striker. He's good at strokes gained approach. It's just a matter or not of if his putter is working, and it has been recently. And that's kind of why he played well, in his last event. So, Keegan going to make for a great GPP option. I'm not sure we can play him in cash. Charles Howell, he's a guy that's starting to come into some good form. The thing I like about Charles Howell, he's a really good stat fit. T16 in total driving, 6th in ball striking, top 40 in strokes gained off tee and strokes gained total, and also birdie or better percentage. We are looking at bogey avoidance a little bit because there is some trouble. It's a waterline and he's got a lot of sand traps. He's top 10 in bogey avoidance. Nate Lashley is 8th in bogey avoidance, and I think we can just continue to play him. He actually is a really good staff hit. I hate this price. He's definitely going to be another play where you can play him on Yahoo more than you want to play him on DraftKings, but still I don't mind it. Scott Piercy. We had that one missed cut mixed in there, but other than that, he's had a phenomenal year. He bounced back at the U.S. Open like we thought he would. He's still a really good stat fit, one of the better stat fits. This is one of the better price values that we get out of a player. Looking at the 3 comp courses, he made 2 out of 3 cuts there as well. So I think Scott Piercy at that price point, that's something I really like. I'm going a little bit lower. Brian Harman was a guy who was starting to come into some really good recent form, and he just missed the cut last week by 1 stroke, finished T72. So I think he'll be able to make the cut this week. Once again, I think I'd rather just play Colin Morikawa than play Victor Hovland. They're pretty much the same play, except for you get a nice little discount with Colin Morikawa at that price point. Once again, I do think those plays, those two, Victor Hovland and Colin Morikawa, are going to be more plays on Yahoo as well. Peter Maloney, just going to continue to play him. He's been one of those guys that we played, a lot recently. Just going to continue to ride that form. That's kind of one of those things I like to do later on in the season. So we're just going to continue to ride the form with him. Cameron Tringale, once again, just playing really well recently. He's top 50 in strokes gained approach and birdie or better percentage. He doesn't make that many bogeys, so we do like that. He's 70th in strokes gained total, so he's not the best stat fit, but given that recent form, I think he's going to make for a great play. He has a lot of upside to get that top 20 for you. Taylor Gooch, this is an interesting play. He's top 25 in par 5 scoring and strokes gained total. He's 7th in strokes gained approach and birdie or better percentage. He doesn't make that many bogeys as well. I think he's not a horrible GPP option, especially given the form that he's starting to come into. Seb Straka is kind of, I guess, a poor man's version of Taylor Gooch. Good ball striker, good total driver, decent strokes gained total and off the tee and putting. Just not a bad play. Top 50 and birdie or better percentage. So, that price point's not too bad. All right, then the next play, the 7K range is just loaded with a bunch of GPP plays. I'm not sure how many cash options you can roll with, but Mackenzie Hughes, just really good recent form. He's not the best stat fit, but given that recent form, that's something I can ignore just because, later on in the year, you just want to look at recent form. That kind of trumps everything else. Now, the next few options, Corey Connors, Keith Mitchell, and Matthew Wolff, they're going to be great GPP plays, low ownership GPP plays, because they're really good stat fits. They're good par 5 scores. They're good with strokes gained off the tee, and they do make a ton of birdies. It's just whether or not if they can kind of pull it all together and have a really good week. But this course sets up really well for those three guys. So I'll probably have the same GPP percent ownership to them, maybe around 15%, and just hope that one of them goes out in top 10s. I could easily see that with those guys, but there's a high likelihood of those guys also missing the cut. Brandon Steele made 3 straight cuts, and Brandon Steele, we know it with him, he's the best total driver on the tour. He's top 10 in ball striking as well. Just whether or not the rest of his game can finally come around. Nick Taylor just been a cut-making machine pretty much this whole year. That's a play where if you want to play him, I won't blame you. I do think he's kind of priced up to the point where I have to really start thinking about it now. Denny McCarthy, not a bad play. At the comp courses, he's made 2 cuts there. He's T18 in par 5 scoring, 51st in strokes gained total. He's the best putter in the field. He's top 50 in birdie or better percentage, and he also doesn't make that many bogeys, just that 18 in net. Wyndham Clark is going to be one of my favorite GPP plays. All right, he's top 10 in par 5 scoring, strokes gained putting, and he's also 17th in birdie or better percentage. He seems like he's finally starting to come around as well. 2 straight top 20 finishes. Just a GPP play. We can't play him in cash, but, just like Corey Connors and Keith Mitchell, I wouldn't be surprised if Wyndham Clark went out there and had a top 10 finish. I would rather play him than those other 2 that I just mentioned, just because he's in a little bit better recent form. Sam Ryder, one of our favorite value plays last week. It's unfortunate that he missed the cut. He finished T72, -4. He had a nice last round. He kind of came on hot at the end. Just missed the cut. But he's one of the better stat fits in the field as well. T34 in par 5 scoring and birdie or better percentage. He's a good putter, 29 in strokes gained putting. He's top 50 in total driving, ball striking, and strokes gained total. It's just whether or not if he can kind of put it all together. He doesn't make that many bogeys as well, T44 at that. Going a little bit lower here, it's, I think Lebiota is going to be a value play for us that we can go back to. It's kind of got the same feel to me as what Nate Lashley had last week, where the stats are there, and if they go on and have a good week, top 10 finish, we're not going to be surprised at all. T44 in par 5 scoring, 34th in birdie or better percentage. You just kind of got to get away with those bogeys that he tends to do. Troy Merritt, I do like this play again this week. I do like that he's priced at a value range though this week. He's T15 in par 5 scoring, 28th in birdie or better percentage. Top 30 in both total driving and ball striking. So I like Trey Merritt as a GPP play this week, maybe around 15% ownership. Him and Hank Lebiota, I'm probably going to switch those 2 in a couple of builds, kind of just try to hope that one of them pops and has a good week, maybe a top 15 finish out of one of those 2. That'd be pretty nice. But given their stat fit, I'm definitely willing to take that risk. Going a little bit lower here, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Scott Brown popped a little bit, but once again, he can't seem to put 4 rounds together. Alex here, he's a good total driver and ball striker. If you're playing Brandon Steele, you might as well play him. But, maybe a 5% GPP play. He's kind of a last lineup filler if you're at that price range. Same thing with Tyler Duncan. I don't love it, but he does have good comp course history. He was playing decent recently before the miscut last week. Okay play, but the one I like the most is Harris English here. I don't get this price point. He seems like the most mispriced player. Now, sure, he's not the best stat fit for this given field or this course, but it's an easy course, and he's just been playing really well. He has shown the ability to shoot some low scores. He's 14th in strokes gained putting, and that's really all he has going for him. He's a good total driver as well. Other than that, that's all he has going for him. But at that price point, given his recent form, that's a risk I'm definitely willing to take. And then Dominic Bazzelli here. the thing I like about him, he's 8th in strokes gained putting and 27th in birdie or better percentage. That's really it. T75 and par 5 scoring, but at that price point, once again, a little bit of a last lineup filler. Closing out the GPP build here, don't mind it here. Not a bad GPP lineup there. Definitely going to change it for the cash lineup. All right, let's get into the core plays. Sorry, I mentioned a little bit. I think Scott Piercy is going to be one of my favorite core plays. He's a top 10 stat fit in the field, just checking all the boxes stat-wise. His recent form is pretty good. Made 8 out of his last 10 cuts. And I do think that he's going to be one of those guys that, brings it on this course. This is easily a course that he should be able to go out and dominate. He does set up well for his game as well. So at that price point, I'm definitely willing to take that risk with him. And, with this course action, these are a lot of the guys I've been playing the whole year. They made me the money that I have this year, so I'm just going to kind of roll with them. And if they kind of fail me this week, that kind of just, that's going to be one of those weeks then. I'm just going to continue to roll with the guys that got me there, and that's kind of what you want to do with PGA DFS, and that's kind of how you're successful in it. All right, the next play is going to be Charles Howell. We know long-term Charles Howell is typically just a cut maker. So at this price point, I'm surprised that he's priced above Scott Piercy, but he is a really good stat fit, top 10 in the field. The only problem is his recent form has been spotty. I do think that his game is finally back, though. And, he's just going to be one of those guys where I played him the whole year. Might as well continue to play him now. Kind of just running the same narrative there. Kevin Sherman been a guy we played, a lot, especially recently. 5 made cuts in a row. Top 15 stat fit. We like his game. It should set up well for this course. So let's continue to roll with him. And then Harris English. This is one of those plays where DraftKings is kind of forcing you to play him. He's, even though he's not the best stat fit, 6 made straight cuts in a row, and overall, he's just been, finding ways to make the cut, or he's actually just been finding ways to struggle in round 4 and round 3. So he's been kind of making the cut kind of easily, and then just struggling at the end. So I do like Harris English at that price point. Definitely not a player that we can ignore as a value play this week. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. Please give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And for any patrons that are listening, just a little heads up, they just changed their policy, so the $5 a month will be charged on the first day of the month going forward. Just kind of a little information I want to give to you guys. But that's all I have for you. Please give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And as always, let's keep cashing.